Welcome to class, everyone. We're going to be kind of moving from the bottom up today, just a little bit of everything. So with quite a few props today. I was going to call it a basic class, but it's not really basic because we're using all these extra things. A yoga strap would be quite helpful, or a long belt or something like that. Cushions or pillows. I've got a bunch of, like a stack of blankets, cushions, pillows. I've also got my towel here for a little bit of a side stretch we're going to be doing a bit later. And then a chair. We're going to be using the chair for a couple of other options. And the only other thing you might need, you could use your chair, but you could also use a wall as well if you have a nearby wall. We are going to get started standing. Sorry for all of you who are already nestled in. So come on up to stand. I'm going to show you with my chair just because you can use your wall or the back of the chair, whichever you'd like. And I'm going to take my slippers off. Let's make this happen here. So you're going to have your hands about shoulder width apart, just kind of leaning into the chair or the wall, 1 foot ahead and 1 foot behind. And try to keep the body nice and tall here, so you're not kind of rounded forward. Lengthening the spine, maybe lift the tail feathers up a little bit. Bending the front knee and keeping the back foot flat on the ground and getting a little bit of a stretch down the calf of the back leg. It's a gentle opening through the calf of the back leg there and your foot. If you can just kind of look at your foot, that might be kind of naturally pointing out a little bit, but maybe let's bring the toes to point forward. So both sets of toes are pointing forward, lengthening through the spine, a bit active through the upper body, so kind of pushing into the wall or the chair there. And you should feel a bit of a stretch in the lower leg. And we're going to move also a little bit through the ankle as we're stretching out through the calf. So you're going to roll onto the outside edge of that back foot, lifting your arch up off the ground a little bit, and then roll onto the inside edge of the back foot, kind of rolling the knee inwards or putting pressure between the big toe and the inside of the heel. So just rolling outwards and inwards. I'll just show you from the front here. Maybe you can see this kind of idea of rolling the foot in and then out. Very subtle movement there through the bottom of the foot. Rolling the ankle. And you might find that you feel a bit of a change in the stretch in the lower leg. The foot stays on the ground. You're just shifting where the weight is in the foot. Good, let's switch to the other side. One leg forward, one leg back. Toes pointing forward. Shift the weight forward. Back heel, the back foot stays flat on the ground. I can just show you on the, there it is. And lengthening the spine. Just pay attention to what has to work here to keep you upright. And then you can slowly start to roll on that back foot, lifting the arch of the foot a little bit and then flattening the arch of the foot onto the ground. But if you find a position that feels a bit more comfortable, you can always just stay static in that position, or you can keep rolling. And then standing upright, you can use the chair or the wall to help keep your balance. Just lift your foot off the ground and try a few circles with the ankle. We'll go both directions. Good, and then lifting and pointing the toes. And now you can keep your foot kind of just towards the ground, but I'll show you with my foot lifted up. Turn the inside of your foot, the bottom of your foot inwards, and then turn the bottom of the foot outwards. So this small little kind of inversion and eversion of the foot. The sole of the foot points inwards, and then the sole of the foot kind of turns outwards a little bit. So moving a little bit laterally through the ankle. Good, and we'll switch to the other side. So starting with the circles of the ankle. Good, and be sure to get both directions in there. You might get some little noise coming from the ankle. Good, lift and point the toes. Flexing or dorsiflexing the ankle when you're Toes lift up and plantar flexing as your toes point down. Good, and then we'll try that inversion and eversion. So again, the sole of the foot turns inwards and then the sole of the foot turns outwards. You can just do it with your foot kind of pointing towards the ground. With that gentle movement, or not, yeah, small movement, I should say, of the ankle inwards and then outwards. The sole of the foot kind of leading the way. Good, let's come back into a second calf stretch so that your feet just a little bit closer together than we were initially doing. So bring those feet a little bit closer together. You're going to be a bit more upright for this one and maybe a bit closer to your support here. And then bend both knees this time, but keeping more of the weight in the back leg. Your back foot still stays flat on the ground. So you're kind of in this little kind of mini squat position, I guess, with more of the weight in the back leg. And this is going to be stretching the muscle that's a little bit deeper inside the calf. And the same thing here, as you're coming into this called the Soleus Stretch, you can rotate or move the pressure on the foot to kind of collapsing your arch inwards and then lifting the arch upwards. So that knee might roll in and out a little bit as well. The back leg is doing this work. You're shifting the pressure on that back foot, flattening the foot onto the ground, rolling the big toe side of the foot onto the ground, and then lifting through the arch a little bit and changing the angle of that stretch in the lower leg. It's almost like you're trying to do that inversion and eversion thing with the ankle, but with your foot on the ground. Good, and let's switch to the other side. So the Soleus Stretch, the feet are going to be a bit closer together. You're a bit more upright for this one, bending both knees, more weight into the back heel. You might not feel the stretch as much as you felt kind of this first one. The muscle is deeper inside the body and it can be harder to feel the same sensation. And then from this position, rolling through the bottom of the foot a little bit, switching up the pressure through the bottom of the foot. Just to move that stretch a little bit more a little bit more medially, and then a little bit more laterally deep inside the calf. Ooh, a little bit of work there to hold yourself upright. Okay, let's take the chair. We're going to sit in the chair now. Don't get too excited. Won't be there for long. And you're going to take your blankets, or if you have little yoga blocks or whatever, you're just going to place them beside the chair. Okay. This might take a little bit of figuring out, setting up. We're going to be trying to stretch through the front of the shin, the front of the leg, and the front of the ankle. So I'll show you this guy to start with. You're going to come kind of towards the edge of the chair, closer to the blankets, and you're going to try to, I usually say, introduce the top of your foot onto the blankets. So the higher the blankets are, the more available that will be for your foot and your ankle. We could start with some height here. I'll just show you from the side. For sitting near the edge of the chair, I'll just move this guy back a little bit. So you want your support to be a little bit kind of behind you almost. And then you're going to take the bottom of your foot and place it, seeing if you can get the top of your foot, I should say, and place it on top of the blankets here. And then you're going to shift yourself forward in the chair, almost like you're dragging your knee forward to get a little bit of a stretch down the front of the ankle. So the higher up your blankets or your support are, the easier the stretch will be to get into. If you might not need the blankets or the support, or you might just use a small little support. You can also do this by placing the top of your foot directly on the ground. And that may help you as well. And you're going to think about kind of dragging your knee forward, but not letting the leg move at all. But you're kind of pulling your knee forward, but not letting it move. You can also do this when standing, but it can be harder to get the whole top of the foot on the ground. So you might need to find a position or a support that allows you to get the top of the foot on the ground or on a support to stretch the top of the foot there. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. A standing position might be holding on to something placing the top of the foot on your blankets and then almost trying to drag your knee forward a little bit. And you should be able to feel a little bit of opening across the front of the ankle. So the more height, the easier that position will be to get into. And then the less height, the deeper of a stretch you might feel. Good, let's come out of that. Maybe a few little rolls of the ankle again. Maybe doesn't get into that position very often. And we will try the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to turn myself sideways on the chair here. And I might want some support beside me, the top of the foot coming onto that support, the yoga blocks or the blankets. And thinking about dragging your knee forward here a little bit. You could try it standing, placing the top of the foot on the supports. And then thinking about dragging the knee forward. It's not moving at all, but the most important thing is to get more of the top of your foot on the ground into that position. Love it. Yes, and thank you for that reminder. You can do this one on your hands and knees. And that same idea, the top of the foot on the ground and then trying to kind of pull your knee forward without your leg moving. Again, it's going to be opening up through the front of the ankle. Great. The more flexibility you have, you'll be able to do this standing and allowing the whole top of the foot to be on the ground and then being able to kind of drag the foot or the knee forward a bit. All right, what's next? Oh yes, go on up to stand. Oh, actually, you could do this one lying on your side. We've done this one on the side before, but one of the variations will be using the chair, so you might want to have that close by. So you'll be holding onto something for balance. You're going to grab onto your ankle and then pull your heel behind your bottom. So we're stretching the front of the thigh at this point. And you should feel this stretch all the way down the front of the thigh, kind of in the middle of the thigh is probably where you'll feel it the most. If that is not available for you, you can place your foot on top of the chair or on top of your couch or coffee table. And then you may not feel that stretch. You may already feel a stretch here, especially if you're not used to being in this position. Another option here, once your foot is on that chair, is to bend your knees so your body goes straight down. And that's going to encourage a bit more of a stretch in the front of the thigh. Great. And so this is your other option if your knee's willing to bend that much. Good stuff. And if you find this stretch, it still feels like this great big long pull in the front of the thigh, you might want to modify that a little bit. And if you're not feeling enough of a stretch on the chair, you could always use your blankets, your cushions, to lift the chair up a little bit, and that will get you deeper into the stretch without having to hold on. And so you can see the knee is bent a little bit more here, and you're going to be getting a bit more of a stretch, and you can always bend the standing knee. And in that way, you can adjust the depth of the stretch so that the muscles are able to release a little bit. They're responding to the stretch and they're relaxing a bit. Let's switch to the other side. So you can either grab onto the ankle, if that's available for you. This is not a balance exercise, so make sure you're holding on to something to help you keep your balance so that you can get that stretch in the front of the thigh. And then your options, of course, are to use that chair or to build the height of the chair up a little bit and then maybe bending into your standing legs. It will take a bit of work here in the standing leg, but it'll help to open up through the front of the thigh. All right, come on down to the ground. Stretch and mobility class, in case you forgot why you were here, what you were doing. Come onto the ground, have your strap close by. You'll be moving up and down quite a bit today. You're welcome. So bring that strap, we're going to bring it around the bottom of your foot, stretching out the back of the thigh now. This is my favorite way to stretch the hamstrings. There's a bunch of different ways as well, but this way you know that your body is nice and straight because you're lying on the ground. You get the feedback from the ground. The strap is around the bottom of the foot. Hopefully it's long enough that maybe the upper arms can rest on the ground here. And you're just pulling the leg up into the air enough that you feel a stretch in the belly of the hamstring, so kind of halfway between the back of the knee and the sit bone. And if you're feeling it behind the knee, just soften the knee a little bit, bending the knee, and you might even be able to pull the thigh closer towards your torso, towards your body here, to get that stretch in the belly of the muscle. So the leg doesn't have to be straight. In fact, you'll probably find the right spot for that stretch a bit easier if your knee is a little bit bent. Your body will be telling you where the tightest part of the muscle is. So if you're feeling this closer to your sit bone, then you might need to bend the knee a little bit more or straighten the leg and release the stretch a little bit. If you're feeling it behind the knee, then bend the knee, certainly pulling the thigh closer towards the body. And see if you can let the leg be heavy into the strap, so the strength of the arms is kind of holding your leg up. All right, we should be feeling, especially by this point, maybe a little bit of a release in the back of the thigh. We're going to switch to the other side. Get a gentle kind of static stretch. You're not moving too much. You're finding that position, the belly of the muscle getting a bit of a stretch. Bending the knee if you're feeling it behind the knee a bit, so you kind of take the tension off that part of the body by softening the angle of that joint. Still keep the neck nice and long, your shoulders away from the ears, and the weight of the leg being held up mostly by your biceps, by the front of the arms here. Beautiful. You can release the strap here, bend both knees, place your feet on the ground, bring the soles of your feet together, and allow the knees to drop out towards the side. So you're getting a stretch in the inner thigh just here. If it's quite an intense stretch for you, you can move your feet further away from your groin, so kind of lengthening the legs out a little bit, but keeping them in that butterfly position. Or another way to lessen the stretch is to take your fists and place them right underneath your hips, so they kind of help support the weight of the legs as the knees drop out to the side. So you can just hang with the knees hanging in the air like that, the soles of the feet together. You can support the weight of your legs by sticking your fists kind of right at your hips. That stops the knees from dropping out as far, or slide the feet further away from you, just to get a more gentle stretch across the inside of the thighs. And hopefully even with these static stretches, if you've got some support to this stretch, so the correct position here or some support from your hands, the tension on the stretch can ease off that little bit. All right, and did I mention it's a stretch and mobility class? Bring the hands to the sides of the knees. You're going to pull your legs back to center, and you're going to come up to stand. You're welcome. You can send me a thank you note later. All the way up to stand using your wall here. Feet about hip width apart. And you're going to take the inside leg, the leg that's closest to the wall, and bring it around to the outside. And then slide your outside hip off towards the side. So kind of bending that inside leg. It's now on the outside. Let me show you from this side. You take your inside leg to the outside, and then slide your outside hip, the hip that's furthest away from the wall, away from you. So you bend your inside knee, and you kind of allow that stretch on the outside of that hip. That's right, inside leg crosses over and then bends a little bit. You kind of hang it out there, waiting for a ride. Good, and coming back up, we'll switch to the other side, so your hand on the wall, inside leg again, coming to the outside. Bend that leg that you just moved and slide the hip out towards the side. So you might show you from the front here. Oops. And sliding that hip out. Beautiful. You can bring yourself back to center. Let's bring the feet to about hip width apart. I'm going to show you just from the front view here. So your hands are, one hand is still going to be on the wall, feet about hip width apart. Can't quite see all of me, but you don't need to see my forehead, I guess. You're going to be sliding the hips away from the wall and then towards the wall, kind of shifting the weight side to side. And let's bring that outside hand in with the action. So as you slide your hips away from the wall, reach the arm up and overhead. And as you slide the hips towards the wall, kind of pointing your finger towards the wall. So you're kind of, the finger is helping to point you in that direction. Yeah, the feet stay about hip width apart. Good, and if that's not working for the shoulder, you can just bring the arm to the chest as you slide out to the side. Point the finger towards the wall, or bring the hand to the side of the head. That also works as well, just to give that shoulder a little bit more of a gentle move if you need. Maybe using the breath to move here, that gentle kind of sliding of the hips, and feeling that stretch out the side of the hips. Good. And then we'll try one time on the other side, or a few times on the other side, sorry, but the same idea. You've got your support on that one side, feet about hip width apart. And you're going to slide your hips towards the wall and then slide your hips away from the wall. Maybe the arm kind of reaches. That's it. And it might feel a bit different on either side, or you might not feel like you can go quite as far with that sliding of the hips. Just go to where your body will allow you to go. The body, you're still looking forward, your chest is up, your eyes are up. And just moving the arms kind of with the body. Beautiful. Good stuff. We're going to come to the wall again. Stay standing. And you're going to be sideways to the wall. Maybe the feet about hip width apart again. Take the hand that's closest to the wall and bring the palm of the hand onto the wall, the thumb pointing up. So you just kind of got your hand behind you on the wall here. You're going to step forward with your inside leg. Your hand is on the wall behind you, your fingers kind of pointing back behind you. Bend the elbow a little bit of that the arm that's on the wall. Your inside leg stepping forward, that'll already start to turn the body a little bit, but you're kind of turning the rib cage away from the wall. Opening up through the front of the chest. Move from the lower body into the upper body here, and we'll work our way through the spine, the neck, and the shoulders. And then we'll finish off, something to look forward to, we'll finish off on the ground. So you should be feeling the stretch across the front of the chest. And if you're feeling it in the elbow, just bend the elbow a little bit to kind of, again, take the tension out of the elbow and to kind of move that stretch into the chest a bit more, closer to the center of the body. Good. Let's switch to the other side. So turning around again, feet about hip width apart. The hand on the wall behind you, fingers pointing back, thumb pointing up. Inside leg steps forward. And that you might already feel that stretch in the front of the chest. And if not, you could start to turn your body away from the wall. Getting that opening across the front of the chest. And the softness in the elbow, or bringing the hand a bit closer to the body to keep the stretch in the front of the chest. Yeah, great. Good stuff. Okay, slight little change, similar position for this next one. Pay attention. Bring your hand, the hand that's, you're going to turn yourself around. So you've got your one hand close to the wall. I'm going to show you on this wall actually. I'd like you to bring your palm so it's facing down this time. The hand that's closest to the wall, have the palm facing down. Now bring the thumb to point down from there. And now you've got this line of the first finger and the thumb. And I'd like you to place that against the wall. Okay, so you've got the hand that's closest to the wall, the palm facing down. I know you got to focus for this one. Palm facing down, thumb points down, okay, and then you've got this flat surface, and you're going to bring that onto the wall behind you. Okay, does that make sense there a little bit? If you've just turned, instead of the palm being against the wall, the palm is facing down, and you're just pointing the thumb down as well. Now the elbow can stay straight. And this is going to be stretching out through the biceps, so the pulling muscles in the front of the arm. So I'll just show you up close and personal here. The thumb is like this. This is the wall here. Your thumb is like this, and you've got your arm straight against the wall. And you're turning away from the wall. You should feel that down the front of the arm. Yes, good. Switch to the other side, the same thing. Again, you're going to turn yourself around. First of all, bring the arm that's closest to the wall out to the side, palm facing down. And then the thumb is going to point downwards. And then you're going to put that hand up against the wall. This is my wall right here. And you're going to step forward with your inside leg. And your arm is staying straight now. You should feel that in the front of the arm here, the bicep muscle. Palm and thumb pointing downwards, fingers still pointing behind you, elbows straight. The bicep attaches over the shoulder joint, so this can also be, can help relieve sometimes some tension into the shoulder joint with just how muscles are attached and what their movements are. Beautiful. What's happening over there? Good, your hand's going to be behind you to do that stretch. Okay, good stuff. Okay, now bring your chair back into the picture or the wall or a counter or whatever it might be. We've done this one. This is one of my faves. Barely make it through a class without this stretch here. So the hand's about shoulder width on the chair. Feet back a little bit, so there's a little bit of weight in your hands. And you're going to shift your hips back. Lift your tail feathers up behind you. Drop your head between the arms. And keep a soft bend of the knees here. So you're getting into the upper body here. Basically your arms are coming up beside your ears, but you're moving your body downwards in order to get into that position, as opposed to lifting the arms up. Good, and take a few breaths here. Deep bend of the knees to keep that opening in the upper back and into the shoulders. It's a great one for office work, even just standing up twice an hour to get into this nice deep flexion through the spine, backward bending, the flexion through the hips and the backward bending, the extension through the upper back. Good. Bring yourself forward back as we started here. And then shift your hips back again, lift your tail feathers up, bend the knees, reach your right arm across to the outside of the left leg. So you're getting a bit of rotation now here. Good, bring the hand back up to the wall or the counter, and then the left hand over to the outside of the right leg. So you're turning your body a little bit, looking underneath that right armpit. And bring your arm back to the starting position. Good, try one more time each. Right arm across towards the outside of the left leg. Good, the knees can bend as much as you need to. Reach the hand back up to the support. And then the left hand across to the outside of the right leg. Oh my gosh, so good. Come back to center and bring yourself back up. Good, so we're just going to switch into a slightly different variation of that stretch, moving it out of the upper body. The heels come down to the ground. This time, keep the legs fairly straight and bow forward. So you can really feel your tail feathers lifting up again here, but maybe the body doesn't come as deep between the arms because the legs are straight. We're getting the stretch in the back of the thighs. So just shifting from into the lower body here again. And a few breaths here. Good, and then bend the knees, come back into the upper body, drop the head between the arms. Straighten the legs, bring it back into the lower body, so nice long through the legs. And then drop down again, bending the knees. Upper body stretch, good. Come on out. Woo-hoo-wee, good one. What's next? Yes, good. Okay, come on down to the ground. You could sit in your chair if you want to, or you could come onto the ground and sit on your cushions. Sort yourself out however you'd like to. It's going to be a little bit trickier on the ground because your hips are going to be getting that stretch as well. So if you'd like to sit in your chair to make it a little bit easier for your upper body, feel free to do so, or coming into a seated position. And just finishing off with the upper body, rolling the shoulders. Let's just go backwards with the shoulders for today to encourage that opening of the chest. Good, and then roll your head around in circles by drawing a circle in front of your body with your nose, loosening into the neck here. We'll go the other way. Good stuff. And as promised, I'm going to get you to come onto the ground, finishing off on the back with the knees bent. And so come all the way down to the ground. Just do a little bit of rotation of the lower back here, combining a few movements we did earlier to tie everything together. So your knees are going to be bent. Support your body as you need to. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together, drop the knees out to the side, bring the arms out to the side so you might even feel a bit of a stretch across the front of your chest. Good, and with the arms out, the knees open towards the side. You're going to take your left knee and bring it up towards the ceiling and then stack it on top of the right. So you're getting into a lower back rotation here. The arms still out wide, kind of stretching open through the front of the chest. And then bring that left knee up towards the ceiling, open it wide again. Pause for a moment in that butterfly or that open position. And then the right knee comes up towards the ceiling and comes on top of the left knee. So you're getting into that rotation through the lower back here. Good. Right leg opens up again. Pause for a moment at center. And then left leg coming back over towards the right again. Good. Try to keep the opposite shoulder blade heavy on the ground here so you might feel that stretch across the front of the chest. Good. Open the knees again, pause at center, and then rotate the other way, using your core a little bit to pull the knee over. Finding that mobility or that ability to move around a joint by having that control in the core. Open the knees, switch sides. Good. Open the knees again, pause in the middle, and switch sides. So kind of a little bit of a static stretch, a little bit of an active or dynamic stretch. You can choose when to end. You can keep going here if you like. Some of you have already pressed stop. Good. Love it. Love it. Good. Bye.